Welcome to Quantum Life. You wake up every morning as you. You have a name, a body, a history, and a story about who you are. But what if that story, the I you identify with, isn't what you really are? Modern neuroscience and consciousness research suggest that the self may be an illusion, not in the sense that you don't exist, but that the version of you experience is a construction, a constantly updated model your brain creates so awareness can navigate the world. Let's begin with what the science says. At the University of Sussex, neuroscientist Anil Seth describes consciousness as a controlled hallucination, your brain's best guess about what's real, shaped by prediction and perception. That hallucination doesn't stop at the outside world. It includes you. The brain doesn't just build a model of reality, it builds a model of the observer too. Philosopher Thomas Metzinger calls this the ego tunnel. He argues that the self is not a thing you possess but an experience your brain generates, a virtual avatar that helps you make decisions, form relationships, and survive. And at Princeton, neuroscientist Michael Graziano adds another layer through what he calls attention schema theory. He suggests that consciousness arises because the brain constructs a simplified model of its own focus, an internal awareness of awareness itself. Put simply, consciousness is the light. The self is the lens it shines through. Let's now move from theory to experience. In the brain, the sense of self is managed by a network called the default mode network. Areas that activate when you think about yourself, your past, or your future. When this network quiets, during deep meditation, creativity, or awe, the boundary between me and everything else begins to dissolve. People describe it as flow, unity, or presence, states where life seems to happen effortlessly. Far from being mystical, these moments show what consciousness feels like when the self takes a step back. But if the self is an illusion, why do we need it? Because it's useful. The self organizes experience. It gives meaning to sensations and continuity to memory. It helps consciousness play the game of life. The challenge begins when we mistake the character for the player, when we believe the story is the whole truth. Psychology shows that most suffering comes from defending that story. The need to be right, the fear of rejection, the anxiety of losing control. But when you realize that the self is just one version of consciousness, a temporary point of view, you begin to loosen your grip. You stop defending and start observing. Let's look at what happens when this perspective shifts. When you recognize that identity is fluid, you can rewrite it. Your brain's self-model is not fixed, it's updated every time you learn, reflect, or forgive. That means you can consciously shape who you become, not by forcing change, but by allowing awareness to expand beyond old patterns. In our quantum identity episodes, we explore how visualization works, because the brain doesn't distinguish between imagination and memory. Both are information fed into the same self-model. Each time you picture your future self vividly, you're teaching your brain who you're becoming next. In Quantum Love, we saw that emotion is information too, energy that shapes how the self relates to others. And in Quantum Neuroscience, we discovered that the brain rewires itself through repetition and attention. All of this means your sense of self is not who you are, it's who you practice being. Let's now reflect on what this means in daily life. When someone criticizes you, the pain you feel doesn't come from the event itself. It comes from the self's reaction, the story it tells about what that means. When you pause and observe that story instead of becoming it, awareness expands. You start to see that you're not trapped inside the self is appearing inside you. That's not detachment. It's clarity. It's freedom from the endless need to prove or defend who you are. The illusion of self isn't a mistake. It's the universe's way of experiencing individuality, the infinite observing itself through the finite. But when you remember that the I is not the whole of you, life becomes lighter, kinder, and more creative. Before we close, consider this reflection. Who were you before you learned your name? And who might you become when you stop trying to be only that name? Thank you for watching Quantum Life. If this episode inspired you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who would love it. You'll find recommended books in the description. Amazon links are included to support the channel and deepen your understanding. And don't forget to watch other episodes across the channel: Quantum Identity, Quantum Love, and the Quantum Brain, to continue this journey through science and consciousness.